Okay. Hi guys, my name is Sam, and today I'll be teaching you guys how to calculate the area of different shapes. And we will be going over rectangles, triangles, different squares, and then parallelograms and trapezoids as well. You guys must have learned how to do this in your schools by now, but if you don't remember, it'll just be a little refresher for you guys. So today's lesson will be pretty brief and won't take as long. So to start off, we're going to be calculating the area of a rectangle. So to calculate the area of a rectangle, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is take the length times the width. So multiplying the length by the width, we can just count each individual square to get the length, and then each individual square going vertically to get the width. So for the length, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares going horizontally, and then 3 squares going vertically, right? 1, 2, 3, and just multiply those numbers together. So we get 5 times 3, right? Because 5 for the length, and then 3 for the width, and we get a area of 15 units squared. So anytime you calculate the area, you want to square the units. So whether it be centimeters, meters, whatever the unit is, you want to take that unit, plug it in here, and then just add a square root to it. That is usually how you label your answer. Now, to calculate the area of a square, right, in a square, all the sides are equal, so we don't actually have to go and measure the length or calculate the length for all 4 sides or 2 sides. We just calculate it for one side, and then we just square root it, right? Because that means this side multiplied by this side. So horizontally, we have a value of 3 because 1, 2, 3. So 3 squares going horizontally, and then 3 squares going up and down. So we just do 3 times 3, and then we get a value of 9 units squared. Next, we have calculating the area of a triangle. This is a bit more trickier, just in the sense that it's not as basic where you're just taking the length and the width. Here you have to take, you're taking your height, so this is the side in the middle of the triangle going up and down. You take that value, multiply it by 1/2, and then divide it by the base, which is the bottom side right here of the triangle. So to calculate this problem, we're going to do 1/2 times the height, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1/2 times 4. So here, actually get my pen out. So you have 1/2, and sorry for the messy handwriting, 1/2 times 4. I'm trying to actually draw this using my laptop mouse, and it's quite complicated. So 1/2 times 4 times our base, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1/2 times 4 times 7 should give us a value of, so 1/2 times 4 is 2, and 2 times 7 is going to give us 14. So the value of this triangle is 14. Now I noticed I made a small mistake right here by not actually writing in 1/2 times 4. I just basically solved it as, 1/2 times 4 is 2, so I just wrote 2 times 7. But this is the actual formula to solve it. So you basically take 1/2 times the height times the base, and you get your answer. So that's what we did here. We took 1/2 times 4, which gives us a value of 2, times 7, and that gives us a value of 14. So it's really important to have this formula memorized because you're going to use this throughout middle school, college, and even, or middle school and high school, and then even in college. So it's important to memorize these formulas. Now, the area of a parallelogram. So in a parallelogram, we can see that this side and this side is parallel, and then these two sides are parallel. So the line that's opposite to you or on the opposite side of you is usually parallel to you, and that's what a parallelogram is. To find the area of a parallelogram, you just take the length times the height. In this case, it's very simple. Our height is 2, so 1, 2. And then our length is 1, 2, 3, 4. So all we got to do is take 4 times 2, which we have written out over here, and we get a value of 8 units squared. So it's just, once again, important to have this formula memorized. Area of a parallelogram. Next, we're gonna find the area of a trapezoid. So in a trapezoid, we can see that these two lines are parallel to each other. But what about these two lines? They're not parallel to each other, right? It seems like this line is going that way, and this line is going the opposite way. So they're actually perpendicular to each other. Now, to find the area of a trapezoid, you just take, the formula is 1/2 times the height. Oops, sorry about that. So you take 1/2 times the height times the base 1 times the base 2. So these are just like the two sides that touch the height. You just add those two together. So you do base 1 times base 2. Multiply that by the height, and then multiply by 1/2. So just going backwards. And then in this case, it'll be, I have written out right here, 1/2 times 2, because our height is 2, 1, 2, plug in 2 right here, times 4, 4, because our value up here, oops, okay, so here is a mistake. Remember in my earlier lessons, I had emphasized that it's really important to check over your work because it's really easy to make mistakes. Really important to check over your work. So this is not actually 4, it should be a 3 because 1, 2, 3. And then our base 2 value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what's 3 plus 7? 3 plus 7 gives us a value of 10 times 2, right? Times, oops, let me, all right, sorry about this messy 2, but as long as you guys know that it is a 2. Okay. So here's our equation, 1/2 times 2 times 10. What does that equal? So 1/2 times 2 is equal to 1. And then times 10 equals 10. Okay, so this value should not be 11. It should be 10. Let's draw this out a little better. Okay, so yeah, this is our value, 10 units squared. And once again, I'm re-emphasizing this, that it's very important to go back and check your work because it is very easy to make minor mistakes like this, and that can cause you to get the whole answer wrong. So memorize this formula, follow PEMDAS, so parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, and then addition, subtraction. So go in order. In order to solve this equation, obviously we would go from left to right, not solving this first or you know, distributing this in or anything. We just go from left to right. So we do 1/2 times 2 times whatever is in this parentheses, after we solve the parentheses, of course, because in PEMDAS parentheses comes first. So solving whatever's in the parentheses, which we got a value of 10, and then we just multiplied it going across, and we got our value of 10. So here are some practice problems for you guys. I know these shapes look a little different than what I have taught you, but if you look closely, you can use the formulas that I taught you to solve these. So remember, the area for a rectangle is the length times width. Now looking at the shape, do you notice something about it? Do you notice that it could be maybe 2 different rectangles? So what if we took a pen and drew a line either going down, so up and down, or even across, like this? Do you see how this could form 2 different rectangles? Well, if we calculate the area of each rectangle and then just add it together, we can get the whole area of the square. And I know in these problems, we also have the question asking us for the perimeter, which I can go ahead and solve for after we find the area. So for the area of the first rectangle, what we can essentially do is do length times width. So in this case, length, what do we have? 10 centimeters. So 10 times, what do we have for the width? 3 equals 30. And then what about for the rectangle down here? So we see that this side going up and down is 4. This side going across is 5. So we can multiply these with each other. 4 times 5 equals 20. Okay, now 10 times 3 is equal to 30, and then 4 times 5 is equal to 20. So when we add these two together, we get a value of 50, right? Because 30 plus 20 is 50. Now, we're gonna solve for the area on this shape over here and then go back to finding the perimeter. So once again, we can divide this shape into 2 different rectangles. So we have a rectangle right here and a rectangle right here. To find the shape of this rectangle, we know the length or the width is whatever you want to call it. I would call this the width, but I know earlier it said that this side was the width, so or this was the length. But essentially, however wide the shape is, that is the side that the length is. So for here, it's 6. You do 6 times, and then to find the area of this side, we know this whole side is 8 millimeters, right? And then this side, we know is 6 millimeters. Now to find this area, we can just do 8 minus 6, and this should give us a value of 2. So we do 6 times 2 equals 12. And then to find the area of this, we just do, remember, or actually we're given it right here. So we just do 6 times 10, because remember, the formula for a rectangle is length times width. So we just do 6 times 10. 6 times 10, and this gives us a value of 60. Then what do? We just add these two squares together and we get a value of 72. Once again, I apologize for the sloppy handwriting. I'm trying to use my laptop mouse to write these numbers, and so far it is not looking too clean, but hopefully you guys can follow along with the concept, which is the important part here. Now for these two shapes, once again, same idea, divide them up. Here we have two rectangles. We know this side is 5. We don't know this side. However, we know that from here to here is 6, and then from here to here is 3. So we can just do 6 plus 3. That gives us a value of 9. Now we just do 9 times 5. So 9 times 5 is equal to 45. Same deal over here. Do we know what this value is? Yes, we do. It is 8. And then do we know what this value is? Yes, we do. It's 3. So we just do 8 times 3 is equal to 24. And then adding these two values together, so adding 45 plus 24, we get a value of 69. And I'm just going to double check that on my phone. So 45 plus 24, yes, 69. All right, now last shape. Oops. So once again, just splitting this right down the middle. This shape over here, we know this side is 6, this side is 4. Based off the formula, length times width, we can do 6 times 4 gives us a value of 24. And then over here, we know this side is 8, this side is 5. So we can do 8 times 5 is equal to 40. What's 40 plus 24? That is 64. Okay. Now, going back to solving for the perimeter, you guys must already know that the perimeter is just the area adding up all of the sides together. So to find the perimeter, essentially you would just do 5 times 7, 5 plus 7 plus 10 plus 3 plus 4, and then to find this side, we know that the whole thing is 10, and then this part is 5. So what's 10 minus 5 will give you this value right here, which is essentially 5. So I can do the first one for you guys, and then the rest of them you guys can practice on your own. So 5 plus 4 gives us a value of 9 plus 4 is, actually I should get my calculator out just so I don't make mistakes. So 5 plus 4 plus 5 plus 3 plus 10 and then plus 7 gives us a value of 34 meters. Now for the perimeter, we don't need to square the units. That is just the case in the area. And this says meters, however, it should say centimeters because the units here are centimeters. So You guys should go through and find the perimeter value for each one of these, just for some extra practice. Now, to find the area of these parallel or these trapezoids, we're going to use the formula that we were given before, 1/2 times height times b1 plus b2. So here we can assign b1, b2 randomly, b1, b2 randomly, and then b1, b2 once again randomly. Here I'm just going to call this b1. Get my pen out. So this will be b1. This will be b2. And then here we have the height. So according to the formula, we do, for 1, we're going to do 1/2 times the height. So what is the height? We're given 6 inches times b1 plus b2. So what's b1 plus b2? It's 8 plus 4, which gives us a value of 12. And then you just go in order. So 1/2 times 6 gives us a value of 3, times 12 gives us a value of 36. And then you just plug in 36 here. So same deal for these two as well. You guys can go ahead and solve those on your own just for some extra practice. Now we're going to move on to solving for the area of triangles. So earlier I mentioned that to find the area of a triangle, you take 1/2 times the height times the base. So if you went ahead and solved it that way, for this triangle, you would just do, oops, get the pen out. You would do 1/2 times the height, which right here we're given is 5, times the base, which right here we're given is 6. And then if you go across and solve that, 1/2 times 5 gives us a value of 2.5. So 2.5. And if you're not familiar with decimals, don't worry, we'll be doing that in another lesson. So 2.5 times 6 gives us a value of 15. So this would be 15 feet squared. Now for this side, if we look closely, this is a right angle right here. So this is essentially a right angle triangle. And for triangles like these, what we can do is do 8 times 8. So we can pretend that this is actually just a square. So each side is equal. We're going to say that this is just a square. So we can essentially just do 8 times 8. And then what we can do is divide it by 2, because this is basically just half of the whole square. So if we had this area filled in, it would be a square. So it would be 8 times 8. But since we have half of the square, we just divide it by half. So 8 times 8, we know is 64. And then dividing that by 2, we get a value of 32 yards squared. There. And that's how you solve for the triangles. These are just a couple of practice problems. All right, that is the end of the show. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any problems with this, you guys can always comment down below, and hopefully, or if I'd made any mistakes or anything, you guys can always point them out to me, because it's very easy to make mistakes in math. So hopefully I didn't make any mistakes, and hopefully this lesson helped you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys stay safe.